All right, today is November 14th. It is B-Day. Today's question is, what is the relationship between chromosomes and genes? The little cartoon says, hey, Rodney, I think you know everyone. Why does Rodney know everybody at the social party of the Genetic Institute? How does he know everybody, sir? They're him. Are they him or they're clones? Raise your hand and tell me what a clone is, please. What is a clone, Brandon? An exact replica. So how does that happen? How do you get an exact replica, Brianna? Yes, you need to copy the DNA. Right now, you guys are not going to be exact replicas. You all are going to be one specific organism. Well, you're going to be teams of an organism, and you're going to replicate the organism at each of the tables. So what are we using to represent the DNA of the organism? Or actually, it's not really DNA. It's going to be what, Frankie? They're going to be bigger than genes. It's going to be, Thomas? They're going to be chromosomes. So if you look at the hangers, you have different chromosomes. Everybody has different ones. And the patterns on them are going to represent the genes. And that piece, excuse me, miss, you need to focus. Okay. That piece right there is going to be how we replicate. So in order to replicate, all of the chromosomes have to line up in the middle of the nucleus. They don't divide. So right now, if your cells aren't ready to divide, all your DNA and your chromosomes, they're just hanging out. They're swimming around. They're not organized at all. The minute the nucleus says, hey, I need a new cell, all the chromosomes line up down the middle. So I line them up for you. Your job is going to be to copy them. How do you copy the socks? How are we going to copy the socks? What are we going to do? Well, we're not going to cross the genes yet. How do we copy the socks? We're going to match them up. So all around the room is the missing chromosome. You have to figure out where they are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 piles of chromosomes around the room. You cannot take the chromosomes out of your nucleus. What does that mean? What does that mean? Yes, you can't. You can take them off the table. These things, you can take them off, but one at a time. You have to look for the matching sock. You can't take the whole pile with you. You're only allowed to take one at a time to see if it matches. If it doesn't, you come back and get another one. So there are several chromosomes, and there's lots of you guys. Your job is to replicate this. So all of you are going to be acting like what part of the cell? There's a part of the cell that makes the DNA. What part of the cell? They're little tiny little things. What are they called? Do you remember? They're really, really, really tiny. Sometimes they're connected to the endoplasmic reticulum. Oh, thank you for raising your hand, because that's what I love. Ribosomes. Now, tell me what DNA is. What is DNA? Somebody tell me the technical word for DNA, Zaria. Yeah. Deoxyribose nucleic acid. Can anybody see the root that describes what makes the DNA? Do you see the root that makes it? The ribo right here. The ribosomes make up the DNA. That's their job. The whole cell, all it wants to do is to copy itself. It wants to replicate. So what does it do? Everything inside the cell works to copy that DNA. They copy the chromosomes. In order for the chromosomes to get copied, they have to line up. That's the first step. Can somebody tell me what the name of this division is called? Cell division has a special name. What's it called? Mitosis. This is the first step in mitosis. They're all going to line up in the nucleus. So when I pick you into groups, you're going to line up your chromosomes. They're already lined up for you. You're going to copy them, and then you're going to come back. The team that's done first quietly lines up with their hands on their heads. You're the winner if you're quiet, and all your socks are done. If you're caught taking a chromosome from another team, you're automatically disqualified. You sit down. What do you win? You can win 10 BR3 bucks. You can win 1 free homework pass. You can win a free 100 on a lab, a quiz, or a pink objective. Or you can win 2 lollipops if you don't want any of the other things. Now, are you ready? I'm picking your teams. I'm going to pause this video so that when we come back, we're going to take out our yellow notes. So put your yellow notes on your desk so we're ready to go. So we decided or we determined that they were toads. How did we determine they were toads? What was the clue, Jordan? Yes. So we started with 10, and then the homologous pair became 20. Each time you guys replicate your DNA, you're continuously making 46 chromosomes because we're humans. Every single cell in your body has 46 chromosomes except for your reproductive cells. Who remembers what the name of those reproductive cells are called? They are called what are they called, Marcel? They're your gametes. Good. Male gametes for a plant. What is the male gamete for a plant called? That's the male reproductive organ. What's the cell called, Emerson? The pollen. The pollen grain is the male cell. The male cell for a human is called the sperm. So tomorrow, you guys are going to put together gametes and determine all the different organisms. So that's another lab that I made up that I wrote for you so you can give me some feedback. So these were the chromosomes. They cannot divide unless they have found their matches. So they line up and they look for their partners. And you guys did a really good job looking for their partners. Anybody in team 1, if you want 10B or $3, I need to give it to you at the end of the class. If you wanted a free homework pass, I'll give that to you at the end of the class. If you want a free 100 on something, on the top of your pink paper, write with a little star that you want a free 100. And if you want lollipops, you have to come see me at the end of class. So right now, if you won and you're in team 1, you need to see me at the end of class. A free. Yes, it's a free one. It's a freebie. Okay, so right now, we're going back to today's lesson, the slideshow. And we saw the first thing. This little slide has a baby puppy. This puppy does not reproduce asexually, it reproduces sexually. So that means that it came about from a mommy and a daddy. So which one of these organisms could be his father? Natalie. Could be C. How many people agree with her? Okay, so what is the proof? You can't say something without evidence. What's your evidence? Okay, what about the face? Specifics. I need details. This is what you guys need to do. The ears, good. So you're looking at this C's ears. So the ears look similar. Give me another piece of evidence. Good. The snout, you're looking at the snout. The snouts look very similar. Somebody else give me evidence. Good. The color is similar, but the length of the hair, too, is similar. This one's very short. That one is longer and curlier and fluffier. The baby's daddy could be C because it has a lot of the same physical features. Anybody know what we call physical features? What do we call physical features? What do we call physical features? We call them characteristics or traits. Good job. So take out your yellow notes. We're looking at this unit, which is incredible. It's the study of genetics. Yellow notes, please. Genetics. Genetics is heredity. You inherit it. So the first blank on your yellow notes is going to be heredity. Heredity is the passing of traits from the parents to the offspring. Sometimes things get messed up when we're lining up the chromosomes and we're duplicating them. That mess up or that mistake is called a mutation. Good. You don't get the mutation from your parents. That happened when you were forming. That mutation came when you were forming. Every single difference that we have all comes from mutation. Now, you can pass on the mutation or the mistake to your offspring, but if the mutation happens when you're developing, it doesn't come from your mom or your dad. Sometimes there's mutations that cause diseases for us. Sometimes you inherit a past mutation from your parents. But looking at these tigers, these two tigers, and even this tiger, this is the actual color that a tiger should be. All of these are variations because there's some kind of mutation. But we don't know when the mutation happened. It could happen a long time ago, and they just passed on the traits. Yes, Emerson? Initially, they were mutations, right? Because the dog was just one species of dog. And then we selectively bred them for different traits, and we kind of made those breeds. So, like, if you want a Cocker Spaniel, you can only breed with other Cocker Spaniels. But we selected the traits we wanted to make a Cocker Spaniel. So every dog that we domesticated originally didn't look like that. The original dog looked like something different, but then a mutation happened and made this dog run really fast. And somebody recognized that, and they're like, I'm only going to breed these dogs that run fast. But then all their other characteristics stayed with them, right? So that we made breeds. It took a really long time. We're still making breeds. We're making breeds all the time. Those designer dogs, we're doing it. So when you say that those, like, purebred dogs, there's no such thing really as a purebred dog because we selectively bred them in society for hundreds of years. Yes. Quickly. Okay. The next slide is a little video, but I'm going to put this on the for extra credit online. Traits. Your traits, write this down on your yellow notes, are features that you have that nobody else might have. Sometimes people have the same features. Like, how many of you in this class can roll their tongue? Not everybody, though. Some people can't. How many people have a thumb that bends backward? That's a trait. Some people don't have that. Some people have a bigger second toe. Some people don't. Some people have a space. I'm sorry, ladies. Should I stop talking? Some people have a space in between their teeth. A gap. Some people don't. A lot of you get braces to stop that gap. Now, if you stop wearing your retainer, the gap comes back. So all those years of wearing braces is useless because that's an inherited trait. So you need to make sure you constantly wear your retainer when you're done. Some people have earlobes that are attached to some people have earlobes that dangle. Some people have this little Darwin's point. Some people have a crooked pinky. All these traits that make us a little tiny bit different. They're not that significant, though. But our eye color is a trait that makes us different. Our hair color, the amount of melanin that you have in your skin makes you a little bit different than the other person next to you. But we share 99% of the same DNA because we all have cells. We all have bones. We all have lungs. We all have hearts. We all have skeletons. If I took away all the external stuff that make you up, we only looked at the inside, we'd all pretty much look almost identical. Right, we have blood vessels. You wouldn't be able to tell us apart. So all this nonsense of discrimination and ridiculousness happens because of society's judgment. Thank you very much. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to the next page now. We're looking at genetic traits like left-handed or right-handedness. How many people write with their left hand? How many people write with the right hand? Wow, we have a lot of lefties in here. That's pretty interesting. How many people, when you clasp your hands naturally, clasp your hands, put their left thumb on top? How many people with their right thumb on top? Yeah. How weird is that? That's an inherited trait. You inherited that. Yeah, you inherited it from your parents. Dimples or no dimples? Are you able to see certain red colors, or does everything look like greenish to you? But colorblind is not seeing in black and white. You just can't discriminate between the colors like everybody else can. Sometimes they blend in. Do you have attached earlobes? I already talked about that. There are so many other traits. Widow's peak, the hairline, is a trait. I have a trait that's really weird, is I have webbed toes. It's only two toes that are kind of connected to a certain point. They're not all the way connected. But my first two toes pretty much connect. My brother has it worse than I do. But that's inherited trait. I don't know where I got it from because my mom and dad don't have it. So my mom and dad had that gene to give to me, but they had the gene hidden. They never showed it. My mom and dad also had a hidden gene of blue eyes because I have brown eyes. My sister has brown eyes. My mom and dad both have brown eyes, but I have children with blue eyes. So somewhere along the line in my family lineage, there's a blue-eyed gene, and my mom or my dad has that gene, but nobody shows it. My brother actually has blue eyes, so I know that they have that blue-eyed gene hidden. Yes, ma'am. If you can start a new gene if there's a mutation. And scientists can genetically modify things. So there's a lot of things that we genetically modify. There's actually an artist. Remember the artist that made the 40 fruit tree? Yeah. There's another artist, a different one, that genetically modified a rabbit for his art show. He took the gene from a jellyfish and inserted into a zygote of a rabbit and made the rabbit glow in the dark for his show because he took it from the jellyfish. You know those little neon fish that you see and they glow in the dark? Those are genetically modified. They're not natural like that in the wild. They took the jellyfish gene from that as well. And this is a fun fact. I actually met the scientist who found that gene, that fluorescent gene. I met him at Columbia University because one of my friends is a professor at Columbia University. And at Columbia, they were having a talk of genetics. And she told me that was happening over the weekend, and I asked if I could be invited because it was like a closed thing. Nobody can go, except if you belonged to Columbia University. So I was invited to watch him talk about the gene and how he found it, and he actually won a Nobel Peace Prize for that. I saw that about 8 years ago at Columbia University. It was like one of the best things ever. Because you talk to the scientist, and that's his job. He's a geneticist. He looks at genes. And why is that important to us? Because, and I'll tell you why. If we insert that gene into humans, you're not going to glow in the dark, but they can look for cancer cells. If they put it in a cancer cell in your body or a cell in your body, and that cell multiplies and it has cancer, we can see if we killed all the cancer without doing dangerous scans. All you do is like put a black light up against it, and they could test it. So they're in the process of working on different ways where they can try to figure out if there's still cancer in there. They do that with dogs as well. I think that they don't do that in humans. They do it in animals right now. But that's pretty remarkable that they can genetically modify certain things. My son over the summer worked at Brookhaven Lab. That's something that you guys might want to do when you get older. Do an internship at Brookhaven Lab. It paid him $5,000. And he worked with another scientist from China. And he was looking for certain genes to prevent plants from being exposed to insects. So the plants were going to give off this chemical that repelled the insects. So what does that do? That helps us from eating plants that have been sprayed with pesticides. You don't have to spray pesticides if the plants repel the insects all by themselves. So there's certain things that we could do. Is that safe for us? We don't know. Genetically modified food has been controversial. Do you know what that means? A lot of people say, I don't want to eat something that has a GMO. So now they have to stamp FDA requirement. They have to stamp if it's genetically modified or not. All right, let's finish the notes because we have 5 more minutes. All right, so traits. What is a trait? A trait, we already said that, is a characteristic of an organism. You wrote that down already. So we're studying the genetics, the science of heredity. So this whole unit, I hope, fascinates you as much as it fascinates me. The next line says genetics. Right after the word genetics, you're writing genetics is good. The science of heredity. And we're looking at all the little pieces. Nothing is in color in your body. You guys realize that, right? They put it in color so that it's emphasized so that you guys can see. Blood is red, but not the DNA is not colored. None of this DNA is colored. That's what I'm talking about right now. Yeah, sorry. Your blood is red. But your cells are all like a translucent color. It looks blue because of refraction. When light hits at a certain angle, it bends. When it bends, it gives off a different size wavelength. So when it bends, it's actually looking blue to you, but it's never blue. It only looks blue. It's like fake. It's like a magician hiding something from you. So your blood is faking you out right now. When you see the blue, it's fake. It's refraction because light hits it on an angle and reflects back to your eyes. It's only because the light wave is bending. It's a cool trick that your body can play on you. All right. There is no such thing as blue blood. So the first line is going to be cells. Cells are the building block. Every organism has to be made up of cells. Otherwise, you're not living. So there was another controversial thing that organisms that aren't made of cells, like viruses, are not living. But that's today. Maybe tomorrow, scientists will make a consensus that viruses are living. Because what do viruses have that help them duplicate? They don't have a nucleus. They have an ability to copy themselves. How do you copy yourself? You need something. Not ribosomes, they have DNA. Viruses have DNA. So right now they're saying that viruses are not living because they're not made of cells. They have to attack your cells. They have to hijack your cell, but they have DNA. So maybe they'll change the rules, right? Pluto wasn't a was a planet, now it's not. We can always change the rules based on the consensus. All right. So DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. It is your blueprint. Pick up your notes, please. The nucleus. What is the nucleus? It controls everything. It controls reproduction. It controls DNA production. The nucleus controls everything. Each cell has a nucleus that will control all of the life processes. Everything your cell needs to do, the nucleus controls. We need to move on. Hustle. You ready? You didn't write this yet. On the second line, sir. Right here. First one is cells. Then it's nucleus. Escribir. I'll go back to it. That means right. All right. Chromosomes, what are they? Every single chromosome is a structure that determines your traits. So all your chromosomes are made of this spaghetti-like thing called chromatids. And they're even made up of smaller things called DNA. They're actually on your chromosomes, there are genes. So if you were a geneticist, you would look through people's chromosomes and look for genes that would cause cancer or genes that would cause certain diseases. Or maybe in the future, you would make the designer baby. You would look for the blue-eyed gene in all the sperm. And you would charge people $25,000 to make the designer baby that they wanted. The baby that has all the traits that you want. It's probably going to be more. I don't know how much it's going to be. It'll be more than that. Yeah, it was in the movie yesterday. All of your chromosomes control different traits. So on the chromosome are different bands of genes, like the trait for eye color. So every single one of you, like chromosome number 7, has specific things that it controls. If you're looking for the breast cancer gene, I think it's on 7. I'm not really sure. But they go to chromosome number 7 when you're testing for it, if that's prevalent in your family, and they'll test for these markers. If they have those markers, then they know you have the gene for breast cancer. You might not get breast cancer, but you have the gene for it. Okay, we will resume this tomorrow.